Hello! Welcome, everyone, to the Rotten Horror Picture Show, the horror movie podcast where we talk about films off the Rotten Tomatoes 200 Best Horror Movies of All Time list. I am the withering husk of clay, and with me, as always, is Amanda. How are you doing, Amanda?
I am not a withering husk, unlike some people in this room.
Yeah, I'm. My voice has been gone for 2 weeks. Thank you, COVID.
And it shows no signs of returning.
No, it's really strange, and hopefully, this is going to be our last regular show of the year. Mm-hmm. So hopefully, when you next hear me, I will sound better. I will sound clear, and I was going to go real dark, but I'm not going to.
Are you going to ask Santa for a new voice for Christmas?
Hopefully I won't be stuck in a chimney somewhere.
Oh, Jesus.
Today, this is our Christmas episode. I had said last time I was...
have some jingle bells going in the background when we say this?
No, I don't put that much work into these. If I was going to do that, it would need to be like in the moment. No, my jingle bell guy is not available. I'm sorry.
You just looked him up.
Yeah.
Saw that he was booked full for the season.
It's a busy time for him.
Yeah.
But we originally didn't have any Christmas movies left on the list because we had done Black Christmas.
Yep.
And we had done Rare Exports.
Yep.
We had done Better Watch Out.
Oh, right.
And it's only at this point that you should realize we've been doing this for almost 5 years.
Holy shit.
But thankfully, the one plus from the massive overhaul of our list is that they added Gremlins to the list.
Yes.
So that's what we're doing today. We're doing Gremlins from 1984, number 134 on our list. It has an 86% Rotten Tomatoes score, 78% audience score. I'm going to assume you had seen this before.
You know I have seen this before because we have group watched this together in the past.
That's true. You know,
years and years ago.
It's funny how time works, right? Because when you're a kid, when you're 15, right, 10 years is a big chunk of your life.
Yeah, it's 2/3 of your life.
Yes. Thank you for doing that math. And now, years feel like days because they don't mean anything.
Yes.
Because it's such a smaller portion of your life. Because we watched this... during quarantine, we did a group movie watch. We would talk over the Google. And we had watched this, and that was, in and of itself, 4 years ago.
Yes.
And when this came up, I was like, I don't know, we just watched that.
Yeah.
4 years ago.
Yes. Yeah, which is a reasonable amount of time between watchings of a movie.
Yeah. I think, honestly, it's
I watch Silence of the Lambs like once a month, so...
Wow.
I don't know, man.
All right.
It's a perfect movie.
Sure. Well, I shouldn't talk. I'm the person who used to, when I was in college, I would watch American Psycho once a week as my first movie and my 2-movie all-nighter double feature I would do.
Wow. We're both messed up people.
Yeah. Yes. This is therapy for us.
Yes.
And then before that, I had actually gone to see this at the Brattle in Cambridge.
Oh, fun.
With our friend Dave and
Did
his
everybody
kids.
make the popcorn buckets into helmets?
Unfortunately,
and put
no.
The paper bags in their ears and scream the whole time?
Unfortunately, no. I wish they had. He did have, our friend Dave did bring his 3 kids with him, so they kind of filled that void.
They were the Gremlins.
But I do think it kind of speaks to, I don't know if I want to say the quality of the movie, or it's a very memorable movie.
Yeah.
In that when I thought about it, I was like, oh, I just watched that. I remember everything about it, even though I hadn't watched it in 4 years.
I have a slightly different take because I remember things once it all starts to ramp up.
Sure.
I definitely remember things. I never remember the beginning of this movie.
Yeah.
I never remember like the opening, the kind of cold open with the dad.
Yes.
Yeah, for some reason that just does not stick out in my head. And then every time I start this movie, I'm like, maybe I've never seen Gremlins.
Well, I mean, it is the most dynamic part of the film. But yeah, we're going to take a quick break and play you the trailer, and then we'll be back to talk about Gremlins.
What is it?
It's your new pet. Number one, you got to keep him out of bright light. Number two, keep him away from water.
This is incredible.
And probably the most important thing, don't ever feed him after midnight.
Billy, what are these things?
Gremlins.
How come a cute little guy like this can turn into 1,000 ugly monsters? That was Mrs. Deagle.
I'll bet every kid in America would like to have one. They might even replace the dog as the family pet.
You know, maybe this is just me in a chrysalis stage,
This
evolving
is your pupil stage.
into my final radio voice form.
It's going to be
where it's
Oliver
gonna
Reed,
be-
I'm telling you.
Yeah, or like Wolfman Jack. It's just going to get real deep. Be talking about all the swinging hits.
What is the radio DJ in this movie?
Oh, I can't
Is it
remember.
Rockin' Ricky something?
It is because he is in the credits, and his name is Killing Time.
His name
trying
is
to
is
find
like
it.
Rockin'.
Rockin' Ricky Rialto.
Yeah, I was close. I got the first two.
Yeah. Anyway, Gremlins, directed by Joe Dante, written by Chris Columbus, starring Zach Galligan, Phoebe Cates, Hoyt Axton, Kai Luke, Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman is the one that I always forget is in this.
Yes,
Because
the
it's-
Corey Feldman reveal in this movie is kind of amazing.
Yeah, he's a great part for him.
As a Christmas tree.
Dick Miller, who's in every Joe Dante movie, at least up until his death. Paulie Holiday, Mike from Breaking Bad, the voices of Megatron, Optimus Prime, the sound effects guy from Police Academy, and Howie Mandel, and everyone's favorite fake television courtroom host, Jay Reinhold. Amanda, what happens in Gremlins?
A young man inadvertently breaks 3 important rules concerning his new pet and unleashes a horde of malevolently mischievous monsters on a small town.
I don't know how I feel about that jumping directly to the rules portion.
I mean,
I guess it,
if he'd followed the rules.
yeah, I guess it kind of undercuts the. It's not like it was a dog, you know. It's not like he broke the 3 rules of owning a ferret.
It does make it sound like yeah, he had some beta fish in a tank and he broke the rules and they all went nuts and started to destroy the town.
Can't get those beta fish wet.
Well, Clay, some things you'll find in Gremlins include caroling gremlins, flasher gremlin, poker
Wait,
gremlins.
hold on. Back up.
Sorry.
You got to do it in character.
I don't know what the character is.
Yes, you do.
No, I can't.
The Key and Peele
I
character.
can't do that character. Only Jordan Peele can do that character. I will do my best white girl approximation, and I will read this in my normal voice. Caroling gremlins, flasher gremlin, poker gremlins, mugger gremlin, bogart gremlin, flash dance gremlin. The most hilariously dark dead parent story ever told. Major innovations in home appliances.
Yes. That I think the one scene that I get more out of every time I watch this is when he goes to the convention.
Yes.
The phone call sequence.
Yeah. The background kind of gags while he's on the phone back home to the family.
This is, we'll get into this more, but this is the kind of movie where even though the person driving the ship above the director was Steven Spielberg, and this was made for a major studio, this feels like a movie where no one was paying attention to what they were doing.
Yes. Yeah, like there were a lot of things snuck in there that the studio didn't realize what he was doing.
Yeah.
The only screening of Snow White I ever want to attend.
Yes. Have you ever seen Snow White in the theater?
No.
I think I might have when I was a kid.
In 1937?
1937.
Yeah, I mean, you sound like it.
I know. This is the sound of 100 years of dust collecting inside a human larynx.
Academy Award-winning dog acting.
Best dog acting I have ever seen.
That dog is a once in a human generation talent.
What's sad about it?
Don't say it.
He's long dead.
Don't,
Amanda.
just you don't say it though. Let me live in ignorance.
No, what's sad about it is, I don't know if I want to say it's sad, but I want to say, let me rephrase this. It is a testament to the effectiveness of practical special effects because the dog is good at acting because he's reacting in the way a dog would to being freaked out by a gremlin.
Yes. Aw. Gremlin-sized clothes, gremlin-sized accessories, gremlin-sized guns, and a gremlin-sized chainsaw.
Yep, get them all at Sears. Well,
Yep.
not anymore, but
And pretty good parenting.
yeah, not bad. Probably some of the best parenting we've come across. honestly.
Pretty loving, caring, attentive parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, this is a Christmas movie
Yes.
that came out in June of 1984, the same weekend as Ghostbusters. Apparently, it was supposed to come out
Wow.
at Christmas, but Warner Brothers realized they didn't have anything to go up against Ghostbusters and a couple other big ones that were coming out that summer.
That's so interesting because I feel like nowadays, and this could be my misconception or just the fact that like Disney and Disney properties have gotten so huge.
Yeah.
I feel like now smaller studios will purposely move things to not compete.
Yes. I think because the money is so big now
Yeah.
that like, well, with the exception of maybe they'll change after Barbenheimer, I'm not sure, but I think they started thinking
Yeah.
only one movie is going to have 500 million at the box office this weekend.
Right. And everything else is going to get like virtually nothing.
Right. And so if we want maybe it just makes you look like you don't believe in your product, but
Yeah.
it seems like they do try to stagger them. So it's like, all right, we'll let Avatar have this weekend so we can have the 2 weekends later when nothing's coming out.
Yeah. Because wasn't like the most recent Mission Impossible movie, wasn't Tom Cruise or somebody involved in that kind of pissed? That it was like
Yes.
scheduled to come out right when Oppenheimer was coming out
Yeah,
like 2 weeks later
it
and
got
taking all the
bumped.
screens.
It got bumped from IMAX specifically.
Yeah.
Is what they were mad about.
Yeah, which I understand because like a Mission Impossible movie is a spectacle that must be really fun to see in IMAX.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're going to lose a big chunk of your audience if they can't see it in that way. They're going to say, I'll just wait for it to come out on streaming.
Yeah, not to get, do a deep box office theory corner here. But I think
Why not? It's Christmas. Give yourself a gift.
Yes. The gift of numbers, theoretical numbers that no one cares about.
More math in this podcast.
But I think Marvel kind of reinvigorated like February and March because traditionally February is like if a movie's coming out in February, it's bad. Like that's the dumping ground for movies is February.
Is that because like it's just a season? It's assumed people don't want to go to the movies.
I guess.
Or is it like you're gonna miss out on Oscar consideration or something?
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Weird.
For whatever reason, if it's a movie coming out in February, probably the studio does not have a lot of faith in it. Let's put it that way.
Huh.
But Marvel started putting out movies in February, and they were doing crazy. It's because there was nothing else out.
Yeah.
And so everybody would go to see the one good movie coming out in February.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's a movie coming out that's a giant spectacle and literally nothing else is playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do find the release date of Gremlins interesting because not to relitigate the oldest and most annoying Christmas argument there is. But one of the arguments I've heard against Die Hard being a Christmas movie is that it didn't open at Christmas.
Oh, come on.
Hey, the people who are delusional look for anything they can find.
We will talk about Gremlins during this episode.
We will.
I promise.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
there.
We're warming up. We're easing into it.
I could talk all night. Can't you hear it?
That's right. Maybe I should hold this thought.
We don't
not
need to
burn
conserve.
through what little of a voice you have.
Yeah.
But I will accept other I think Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
If you want to argue that for various reasons, I will listen to those arguments. Some of them I will even say, you know what? That's an interesting opinion, or that I can see where you're coming from. Just because it didn't open during Christmas, that's a bullshit reason.
It is.
Yeah.
You know what else didn't open during Christmas?
Gremlins.
Gremlins and Miracle on 34th Street came out in August.
You serious?
Yes.
Wow.
I looked that stat up a long time
so
ago.
fuck you,
Yeah.
Die Hard disenthusiasts.
I looked it up a long time ago because I did get into this argument with someone one time. But yes, Gremlins. I realized watching this last night, I find movies like this and Black Christmas, specifically those two. The other ones that we've covered, the other Christmas ones, like Rare Exports. Maybe this is going to be controversial. Rare Exports is a movie that is like Christmassy, but I don't consider it doesn't feel like a Christmas movie to me.
Do you think part of that's because it doesn't really reflect like the style of Christmas we're all used to as like Americans?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Because I know in Finland or Norway or wherever that movie was made,
Christmas is all about naked old men.
It's all about naked old men and
Yeah.
killing giants and stuff, and
Yeah.
whatever else they do out there
Yeah. Mary Lou-Id and
to
all
keep
that.
the sun from not going down forever or whatever it is.
Yeah. You do what you got to do.
But what was the other one? Better Watch Out. Christmas movie, sort of.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, neither one of those have what this movie has and what Black Christmas has, which is it's really keyed in to the, what's the best way to put this? The relatable human side of Christmas in terms of like experiencing and spending the holiday.
Sure.
Like I was watching this last night and I realized this is the most Christmassy thing about this movie is that the Gremlins are Gizmo's shitty family
Yes.
that he has to deal with during the holidays.
Yes.
This is like 2 steps away from National Lampoon's
And
Christmas
it's like
Vacation.
there's too many group activities and everyone's getting way too drunk.
Yep.
And you really just want to like go in a quiet room for a little while and like scroll through your phone without anybody screaming at you. But if you do that, they're going to notice and then they're going to chase you and they're going to pin you to a wall and start throwing darts at you.
Yeah, your older cousins are going to
Yeah.
push you into the closet. And,
Yeah. That's a great point. And I think the other thing is if you've had the sort of, kind of general generic American Christmas in your past, especially as a kid growing up.
yeah.
A lot of this stuff feels familiar where it's like everybody's at home, you're with your family. Like, for instance, I always forget that Billy is like an adult.
Yes.
That he's probably 20-something, young, maybe 21, 22. But he is an adult. He works a full-time job at a bank.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to school. He's not. I always forget that because it feels natural, even though he's still in his childhood room. Because it's Christmas time, it feels like totally normal to me that you'd be back in your parents' house for like several nights in a row staying with your family because it's the holidays.
Right.
So like I never question it. Like, why is this? I mean, the obvious like real narrative reason is that like financially his parents need him to like help with an income and like help support the family. Judge Reinhold even points that out.
Which is an inverse from what it was when I was a 20-something aspiring artist living at my parents' house, which is I very much needed them.
Yes, but you were still doing the full-time art thing.
Yes.
You were not working at a bank.
No, probably should have been, but I wasn't.
Debatable.
They don't write Batman at banks, baby.
But you could have brought your dog with you.
No, I could not have.
But yeah, there are all of those sort of, I don't know, there's like the mundanely familiar holiday stuff. The setting and the sets are very kind of like too perfect Christmas. Like there's always perfect, pristine white snow everywhere.
Yeah.
People are always in sort of like, I don't know, they're selling the Christmas trees in the town square and there's like Christmas lights everywhere. It's very decked out. But like it's also very mundane. It gets very normal stuff. You're seeing like very normal people in a weird way. Like unlike Better Watch Out, where wasn't it that the boy she was babysitting, his family was kind of wealthy.
Oh yeah, the
like
house is huge.
Yeah, they live in this giant, beautiful mansion, and they're going off to some gala or something. And in Rare Exports, like we were saying, it's a Norwegian film, right? Or was it Finnish?
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. Scandinavian.
Over there?
Yeah.
At a certain point, it's just no one knows.
No one knows, except for them.
Who's to say? I don't even think they know.
They know.
We love you guys.
Trust me, they know. But yeah, it's like this is a movie where it feels like other Christmas movies you've seen too. You know, like it
Yeah.
feels more like it's closer to Home Alone
Yes.
than it is to Rare Exports.
Yeah.
In terms of like the vibe.
But, you know, weirdly enough, well, going off of that, I do think that this movie, this and Black Christmas, have and also to an extent, I think why people probably connect with National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation so much is those three movies. What a weird trio.
Yeah.
They very much feel like
The Ghost of Christmas Past, The Ghost of Christmas Present, The Ghost of Christmas Future.
Sure.
Yeah.
They all very much feel like a middle class Christmas.
Yes.
And
yes.
like as much as I love
a middle class American Christmas.
Yes,
Yeah.
which is ironic because Black Christmas is Canadian, but you know.
Yeah.
But it's the same idea. Black Christmas, it's a bunch of kids who aren't going home for Christmas. Who have
Right.
to stay at the school.
Right.
And just kind of like hang out.
Yeah.
And National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is all about your family coming, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And I think it's I think they kind of hit that weird sweet spot of more identifiable Christmas that a lot of Christmas movies don't hit for exactly what you're talking about with Better Watch Out, where they
Yeah.
tend to class it up a bit.
Yes.
It tends to be a little bit more aspirational. Even stuff like, I mean, one of my not just favorite Christmas stories, but like just favorite stories is A Christmas Carol. And as much as I love that, you could only relate to that so much.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
It's not a
There's not a lot in there for a modern person to identify with directly from their own past experiences of
yeah.
the holidays.
but like in
Unless
Gremlins.
you're having much more intense holidays than I am.
Yeah, I mean, I am a big proponent of bringing back the Victorian style Christmas.
100%.
Christmas is too red.
Yes.
You need more green.
Yeah.
And you need more ghost stories.
It's not that I own a Krampus stocking or anything.
And you need more street urchins
Yes.
to throw coins at.
You need more fathers dying upside down in chimneys.
Yes. But Gremlins has the relatable feeling of waking up to have to go to work or school and your car is crusted over with ice.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
or the woman's lights that are all busted. And it's just it's a relatable kind of Christmas experience that I think
Yeah.
most movies, I think a lot of the movies, like the Hallmark movies and the more like, you know, middle of the road Christmas movies, they think they're doing that, but they're not because that's too classy. It's
Right.
not as lived in as
Yes.
this or Black Christmas
Yes,
is.
things are too perfect. Like
And
everyone's
there's hardly
on-
any murders.
I know, there's not enough murders. But yeah, in a lot of those movies, it's sort of like everyone's on not just a vacation, but like a luxurious vacation.
Yeah.
Or or like, yeah, they're a high, they live in a beautiful mansion or something like that. It's not the same as just like, no, yeah, it's like 4 days before Christmas, and yeah, you've still got to go to work.
Right.
Like you don't just get to take it, like you have to go and be polite to the people at work, and like people are frantic and running around a little bit, but it's like, oh, it's pretty out. Like you're not getting that sort of like both sides of like the good parts and the bad parts. And I
Right.
think this
Yeah.
movie, even just in the setup, does it really well. Like your car is broken down, but you live in this really beautiful, quaint little town, but also your parents are barely able to pay the rent on your house, but also you got a great dog.
Yeah. There's the thing that stood out to me this time was, again, another thing that I feel like makes this fairly unique is there is a undercurrent of economic insecurity
Yes.
throughout the whole movie
Yeah.
that I find very fascinating.
I really noticed it this time through.
Yeah.
Like the last time we watched it, we were all just sort of, chatting with our friends online and kind of being silly about it. I wasn't really paying attention to a lot of that kind of stuff. But this time, yeah, I noticed it and was actually kind of surprised at how often it comes up.
Yeah.
It's not super glaring. It doesn't like beat you over the head with it. It's not like the characters are living in like ramshackle.
Yeah. It's not like that Christmas Shoes song where it's like, I only have. You never heard that song?
I don't think so. Now I'm going to make you sing.
I know.
With
I
your
don't,
lack
I don't
of a
even know.
voice.
But it's one of those like sappy ass country and western Christmas songs about a child who's trying to buy shoes for her dying mother.
Oh, Jesus
and she
Christ.
doesn't have enough money. And so then the guy behind her who only has enough money for the present for his wife, that one of that bullshit. And then he gives her the money or whatever.
Got it.
That kind of bullshit.
One of those. Yeah, they definitely don't go that route in this because it's like everybody's like hanging in there, but it's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, Kate works 2 jobs.
Yes, yeah. Billy's supporting his parents, and his dad's inventions are not working out. His mom's a stay-at-home mom, it seems like a homemaker.
Yeah.
The neighbors, the Mr. Futterman, he's at the bar getting drunk because he's lost his job.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just sort of kind of floating around all the time. There's the woman who confronts Mrs. Deagle outside the bank to try and say, please.
Yep, the woman from she's the friend from The Howling.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, a lot of Joe Dante regulars in this movie,
which is fun to see. But you're right. Yeah, they're sort of like everybody's kind of doing their best and trying to have a nice holiday season. But yeah, there is this sort of like generalized anxiety about like what's going on in the world, what's going on in our lives, how are we going to make it through?
Yeah. And it all starts with the opening sequence where Billy's dad goes into the curiosity shop and ends up leaving with Gizmo.
Yes.
Which I always forget that this has an opening and closing monologue.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's from the point of view of the dad, who is
so
in like
weird.
25% of the movie and misses most of the stuff.
Yeah, most of the time we see him, he's kind of around home for a little while, maybe the first like third of the movie. He is, a background character just as much as the mom is in the first portion of the movie. And then he leaves for his conference and like we see him on the phone a couple times.
Yeah.
And then he shows back up at the very end. Like the very end.
Yeah.
He drives up, the dog hops out and runs into the department store, and then the big final confrontation ends.
Right. And he's and for some reason he's the one who gets the point of view narration.
Yeah.
Which reminded me a bit of Silver Bullet. That has that weird narration from the sister who's in like one scene.
Yeah. I forget now if that was like more true to the book and they just didn't carry it through as well in the movie.
Forget. Yeah.
But yeah, it is this weird sort of like, why him? Do you think they just wanted to give that actor more to do?
I think it makes sense in that.
Or does it feel a little more like an homage to some of the other classic Christmas movies?
I don't know. I think it makes more sense from the point of view of he's the one who is picking up Gizmo. So having him, like, it would be kind of weird for like Billy to be doing, because he's not a character that at that point. So it just feels a little bit more natural.
I think you could have done it with Billy.
I mean, I don't know if whether or not you need the voiceover at all is a different question. But
yes. Yeah, I think if you were going to have the voiceover, though, you could have done it with Billy.
Yeah.
You could have done
to make it more like Silver Bullet, it should have been Corey Feldman doing it.
Ooh. See, that actually would have been kind of fun.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a story about the time my town almost got destroyed by little green men.
Yes. But yeah, they get a lot of things right in this movie because like the design of Gizmo is perfect, does exactly what it needs to do.
It is still such a cute little creature.
Yeah.
It's so weird and like conceptually kind of gross when you think about it, but in the film you can't help but find it charming.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess Steven Spielberg, who produced this, was really kind of going back and forth on designs, which made the Creature Shop guys really annoyed.
Oh.
Because he was like, it needs to be all brown. It needs to be brown and white. We need fur in the ears. Okay, no fur in the ears. And they were just kind of getting annoyed by it. But
that's fair.
What they locked into, I mean, it's perfect. It's weird.
Yep.
But it's also cute as hell.
Yep.
And it is you instantly feel pathos towards it.
Yeah.
When the shit starts going down.
Yep.
And it is as cute as the Gremlins are creepy.
Yes. Well, it works for the same reason that nowadays, like, everybody went crazy for Baby Yoda.
Giant ears.
Big ears, big eyes.
Yeah.
Those like big expressive eyes and ears. It reminds you of a puppy. Like, the ears are too big for the body, and Gizmo can give the big puppy eyes, and it's just like, aw. So yeah, they tapped into something perfectly. to get that immediate emotional connection of you don't want anything bad to happen to it.
Yeah.
Because it's like just this cute little furry guy. He kind of talks. He sings little songs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does have a lot of half words he can say that
Yes.
are very cute and charming.
I do like when at the end when he says goodbye to the dog and he says bye bye woof woof.
Well, when he says goodbye to Billy, when he actually says
Yeah.
goodbye, Billy,
Yeah.
he sounds like the E.T. ride. Do you know the E.T. ride where it's like, give us your name and E.T. will tell you
I
to
do
phone
not.
home.
I do not because I think it was gone by the time I went to whichever amusement park.
It's still there.
Okay, then I do not because I will not go on it because ET scares the shit out of me.
Okay, now we're getting down to it. No, I think it was gone.
No, I genuinely did think it was gone.
Isn't that your husband's like favorite? He loves that ride, doesn't he? For like, not because it's good. It's one of those ones. He talks about it all the time. Anytime we talk about Universal.
I can't wait for him to listen to this and hear you say that and immediately in his brain go, no, I don't.
When we went down there, it came up a couple times.
All right.
But I lost my train of thought. Yeah.
Gizmo.
Perfect design. And it's very kind of shocking when he starts, for lack of a better term, giving birth.
Yeah, molting.
Yeah.
And then that turns into other mogwai. It's really weird because like everybody accepts Gizmo's existence so smoothly.
Yes, we're gonna get to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about that because it's so weird to me.
Yeah, he's very well designed, and I guess one of the original plan for the Gremlins was that they weren't going to be puppets; they were going to be monkeys in suits.
That's a very fucked up plan.
It is. And they tried it once. They brought a monkey into Joe Dante's office.
Oh no! Was it like the scene in Nope where it killed everyone?
Kind of. They put the gremlin head on it, and it freaked out and started shitting everywhere and jumping around the room.
Oh my god!
And then afterwards, after they were screaming and got the monkey out of there, Joe Dante said, "So, puppets?"
Yeah. Fucking seriously. Oh my god.
But I think the Gremlins are a great counterpoint design because they maintain the base sort of like look of the Mogwai.
Yes.
And then they just really what's the word I'm looking for? They make it a lot more angular, scaly, and pointy.
Yeah, sort of reptilian. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great looking design.
Yeah, it is. It is like you can see the kinship though between them, where it's sort of like they're small. They've got a bigger head, like than they do a body, like the Mogwai does, and they've got those big kind of bat ears. But other than that, yeah, they're more of that creepy, scaly, slimy sort of look with the pointy teeth and the like reptile eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks really creepy when a human dresses up like that.
Yes, it does. And I love like the look. The look of the Gremlins is like scary enough. Do you know what I mean? Like for a PG-13, yeah, sort of family, or like this is a movie where you want like your older kids to be able to watch it with you.
Yeah. Apparently, no, sorry, finish your point.
Oh, just that I think the design of the Gremlins works perfectly for that. If that's kind of the vibe you're going for. Yeah. Of like, yeah, you want like teenagers and younger teenagers to watch this back in 1984.
Yeah. It is I guess do we want to get into the darkness of it right now? Well, let's talk about that.
Sure.
It is a surprisingly the tone of this movie is very strange.
Yes. Yes.
Because it does very much have a family, like that Amblin Studios vibe to it. But the mayhem in this movie is off the charts.
Yeah.
And the monsters are creepy.
Yeah. There's some actual murders.
There's actual murders. The egg sacs that they birth out of are really disgusting.
They're so gross.
And it's
like Alien.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah.
And it's just this weird sort of this probably makes sense given that how much of a Joe Dante is a Looney Tunes fan, but it feels like an adult Looney Tunes movie where it's like not the ones that you can find on the internet. It feels like that same approach towards violence scaled up into
Right.
an adolescent
Yes.
reading of it.
Yes, which is automatically more jarring and creepier when you see it done with humans versus cartoons. Like, sure, the Mogwai and the Gremlins themselves are puppets, but like, you know, they're acting with real people. So seeing that sort of Looney Tunes violence of like Mrs. Deagle getting shot up on her stair chair thing up the spiral staircase and straight out the window to her death is like hilarious, but also holy shit, they just killed that lady.
Yeah, that's the thing. They don't do the thing most movies would, where
Right,
it's
where
like
she like
where
groans
she gets up
and
she's
her
like,
legs fall over to
"Ooh."
the side or something. Yeah.
No, she's fucking dead.
Yeah, like the science teacher.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, is he unconscious? And you guys were all like, no, he's dead.
They don't do the thing where it's like someone gets electrocuted and then
Right.
their hair just stands up.
Right,
It's
there's like
no.
one character who like the Mr. Futterman is like, you think he and his wife have gotten bulldozed, but they haven't. Isn't that it?
Yeah, I guess technically we don't really know that that's the case until the second one. Because I don't think we see them again in the movie. I could be wrong.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like closer to like, less so the movie, but the original comic book version of The Mask, which is like this character who has all the unearthly supernatural capabilities of like a Bugs Bunny character and meets out justice with the same kind of style. But when he hits someone with a giant hammer, they explode. They don't just like have birdies
Right, in
circle around
like
their heads.
in like blood and guts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I find these mid '80s Amblin movies interesting in that sense because I always wonder if they are some sort of a reaction by Spielberg to the way that he was being perceived or something. Because like, E.T. is 82, and that's like the sappiest of sappy sapsaps. But you know, has creepy stuff in it. But like, there's a weird. He goes kind of weird and dark with a lot of these movies. Like Poltergeist is a movie that's around the same time.
Yeah.
Like he's getting horror guys to do these movies.
Yeah, but he's always had sort of roots in the more, you know what I mean? Like he's I don't think he's ever in his career fully shied away from that kind of stuff.
True.
I think it's just, I think you're right though that in that time period he was probably getting a little more pigeonholed as this like family friendly, you know, wholesome, like good wholesome entertainment.
Maybe I'm like trying to go with this. So you got Jaws, obviously.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, there's it's a very similar vibe where it's like horrific, but there's a family.
Right.
undercurrent.
Right. And there's some humor to it, but there's also some actual murder.
Yeah. Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is but that and Temple of Doom especially, which goes pretty dark.
Yeah. Watch guys get their hearts ripped out. And
Yeah. Close Encounters is I don't have great memories of that. I've only seen it once, but it gets pretty weird.
Yeah, I was gonna say that maybe it isn't quite so dark as it is. It's dealing with some interesting concepts about, you know, alien life and all of that.
And then you've then E.T., which is still also family heavy, but also creepy.
Yeah.
And then he's getting these. He gets the director of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes. Yeah. To do his ghost movie.
To do his ghost movie, and the director of The Howling.
Yeah.
To do this one.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting if he was sort of kind of perceived as this more family friendly.
Yeah, I guess what I'm thinking
figure.
is I wonder if that is popular culture revisionist history a bit.
I think it is a little.
Because I think he might develop. I think that's one of those things where it's like that's what people remembered, but that's not really how he was.
Yeah, I think maybe this is a very half-baked theory I'm just coming up with right now. I think maybe part of it might be that he has a fundamental optimism in a lot of his movies.
Yeah.
Like they tend to end at least on a more positive note. Like the good guys are clearly the good guys, and even if they have to sacrifice a lot, at the end they tend to come out on top.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think it's maybe easy to sort of think about the uplifting feeling you might be left with at the end of a lot of his movies, and then extrapolate out from there. Oh, he's like a more upbeat director.
Yeah,
even if he is dealing with some more like dark and fucked up shit in his movie than
I think
people
people tend to just take one thing. Like it's when we started doing Star Trek on Penske File, the thing that I found the most interesting was the actual representation of Captain Kirk as he appears in the show and the movies is not the, throw it all against the wall, reckless sex hound that everybody thinks, oh, Captain Kirk. No, he's a much more thoughtful character than that.
Yeah.
But people just, popular culture pulls like one thing, and that becomes the thing people remember.
Yeah. No, I think that's a very good point.
Do you think the tone works in this?
I do. I think you kind of have to. You kind of have to do both in this. If you want the Gremlins to have moments where they actually are scary, you need to be willing to go pretty dark with it.
Yeah.
But you also, I think, have to acknowledge the fundamental ridiculousness of the whole situation.
Oh, definitely.
So I think you need that kind of like Janice tone of like very two faces, like really silly on the one hand and then really dark on the other.
Just like my Aunt Janice, oddly enough.
The only time where I sort of question it, just because I'm not sure which side it's supposed to land on, I think you know what I'm going to say.
Yes.
When Kate, is it Kate?
Yes.
Yes. When Kate tells the story about why she hates Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
When she tells the story that her dad tried to surprise her and her mother by sneaking down the chimney like Santa with presents, and instead he got trapped there, died, and they found him days later. That is a really fucked up and dark story.
Sure is.
And yet it is kind of just shoehorned in like kind of the end of Act 2,
It's
beginning of Act 3.
It's what makes it so brilliant to me is because of the placement. Because it comes at that point in the movie where traditionally your character will like share something about, like that's when your characters have this like moment to step away from the craziness.
Yeah.
And
they've both just been through something together.
Yeah.
And now they're going to open up to one another.
Right. And it usually is some sort of like bonding experience or whatever.
Yeah.
But here, not only can you still hear the Gremlins just going shithouse outside.
Yes.
The story she tells is so fucking insane.
Yes.
That even Billy is just like, oh, well, that's really something.
Yeah.
He knows how to deal with it.
I think he even says something like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Which is like the only response you can have to that.
Yeah. And they just grind the movie to a halt to tell this insane story.
Yeah, and the setting they're in is like they're just in some like empty store area or something. Like it's kind of dark and they're alone, but it's like very nondescript. So like you have nothing else to focus on other than them, really. Yeah. And it's just like, what the fuck?
I love it because it's the kind of thing where traditionally this character would present whatever this explanation is as to why she doesn't like Christmas.
Yeah.
In a way that whether or not they say it explicitly or is like, oh, this is something that this guy can help her with. This is something this guy can fix. Where it's like she never liked Christmas because she was always on her own.
Yeah.
Or something like, well, now she's got Billy.
Right.
Whereas this, impossible to help with.
No, you're never going to fix that.
Yeah. It's great. I guess,
but it's tonally so weird because, and I don't mean weird in a bad way, but it is like you want to laugh at it because it's so over the top.
Yeah.
Like this isn't like my dad was killed by a mugger on Christmas trying to bring gifts home for us. That would just be sad.
Right.
This is my dad had a really dumb idea and then did it.
Yes. Yeah. I guess this is from IMDb. The Santa speech proved to be controversial, and studio executives insisted upon its removal because they felt it was too ambiguous as to whether it was supposed to be funny or sad. Director Joe Dante, however, stubbornly refused to take the scene out, saying it represented this movie as a whole, which had a combination of horrific and comedic elements. Executive producer Steven Spielberg did not like the scene, but despite his creative control, he viewed this movie as Dante's project and allowed him to leave it in, which is probably why he was up Toby Hooper's ass so much on Poltergeist.
Yeah. It's really funny because I both maybe buy Joe Dante when he says this represents the movie as a whole, but I also think he's totally bullshitting and
Very
just
possible.
likes the scene and wanted it to stay in there.
Yeah.
And so came up with some like big justification for why it needs to stay in. And instead he might have just been like, no, I just like it.
Yeah. Well, the tone of this movie, and also back to what we said about seemingly no oversight. This movie is made. It seems like it's made by a madman.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it's one of those movies where when you watch it now, you're like, obviously there's no CGI or anything in this. Not that it would make that much of a difference, but when I'm watching what they're doing, my brain starts thinking like, they had to draw these plans up
Yeah.
for
Yes.
how to throw this gremlin, have him swing on a fan, and then like fly into a blender, and then have like a naked one flash somebody.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
it's just like once the gremlins start doing stuff, it's
Yeah.
just insanity.
Well, it's such it's a fascinating movie in like a human behavior standpoint because I almost feel like this movie takes place in a slightly alternate reality
Sure.
because so many people act so normal, like movie character normal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But like they're generally pretty just like normal people trying to go about their days. But then there are some weird there's some weird shit that they just accept as like part of the world. Like when Gizmo shows up, they're just like, "Oh yeah, that's a cool little thing." Anyway, I'm going to read this comic book. Why is everyone so calm about this?
Well, this is what I wanted to talk about. I think that I'm sure I have talked about my storytelling theory of the narrative cone of vision.
Yes.
This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about because there are so many things in this movie that if you go outside of the narrow field of view,
Yes.
make zero sense.
Yes.
Like the rules, complete nonsense.
Yes.
The idea that people just accept the Mogwai as something that exists,
Yeah.
completely insane.
Yeah.
It's that kind of stuff where it's like, okay, you've created the world of this film,
Yes. Yeah.
and everything inside it works perfectly fine.
Yes.
But if you widen that circle out, all you're doing, you're not telling a better story. You're just really watering things down and getting bogged down with stuff that does not matter.
Yeah, but I totally agree, but I just think it's handled so interestingly in this movie
It is,
because there are things that are so mundane and normal. Like we were saying, it's really cold outside. You go out and your old car won't start.
Right.
And you've got to get to work. Like the neighbor shoveling his driveway. Like it's all very mundane stuff. And yet there are these things in this movie that everybody just is sort of like, that's life.
Yeah.
Like even the dad's inventions,
Yes.
where his family just maneuvers around them and not even maneuvers around them, actively continues to use them.
It's so heartwarming to me.
It is. It's really heartwarming, but it's also it's a deeply unrealistic thing done in a very realistic manner.
Yeah.
Like a normal family would be like, "Look, we love you, Dad.
Yeah.
You're the egg thing in the kitchen, it's gotta go. It doesn't work. It's broken. Fix it if you want, but we're not using it anymore. We're not using the juicer. We're not using the coffee thing. We're going to do it the normal way. Sorry, but this chaos and the mess is just too much." And instead, like, Billy's family just accepts it.
Yeah.
It's just like, "Oh no, we use Dad's inventions because we love and support him. And so we'll just keep using them even if they are actually 5 times more work than just cracking the eggs into a bowl yourself."
Yes.
Would have been.
I also love that Billy and his mother don't like talk shit about them behind the dad's back.
Yeah, no.
Like when it doesn't work,
Yeah.
they kind of react to each other as though
Yeah.
they were talking to someone else who
Yeah.
had just seen it for the first time, where it's like, oh, I mean, they always work the first couple times,
Yes.
but then they got to be fine tuned and like, there's a shared, in Deadwood, the phrase is, it's the lie agreed upon. That
Yes.
dad's inventions are worth keeping around.
Yeah, and they even do sort of a similar thing when Billy asks his mom what's wrong, and she says, "Well, Mrs. Deagle called, and she's not really willing to compromise on the rent and blah, blah, blah. Well, your father's home. Let's not say anything to him.
Yeah.
Because it's like she doesn't want to make him feel bad. So it's all very heartwarming, like those things specifically. Like it's kind of evidence of, as I, said on the things you'll find list, it's pretty good parenting. Like you don't talk crap about each other. You support each other in your dreams. So yeah, I think it's very much a positive thing, but it's also deeply unrealistic.
Yeah.
But it fits with the tone of the movie.
You know what else I like about this? The family doesn't get anything out of it at the end. Like, they talk like there's this general sense of economic anxiousness.
Yep.
But it's not like at the end they get a bunch of money or like they find some sort of, it's just, no, they've survived the gremlin attack.
Yes. Even the dad's like brief idea of like, ooh, it can be the Peltzer pet.
Yeah.
Every kid in America will want one. And then the whole gremlin thing happens, and it's clear that idea is just like out the window.
Right.
Like he's not like a greedy guy who's going to try and grasp at the success regardless of the danger. It's just sort of like, oh, well, nope.
Like, I would argue the only person who like gains anything is probably, I guess, Billy and Kate get together. Yeah. And that's probably about it.
Yeah, mostly.
I
guess the people who had to deal with Mrs. Deagle don't have to anymore.
That's the thing. It's like the other thing. It's like, did you ever see the old SNL skit from the Dana Carvey era where it was they found the lost ending to It's a Wonderful Life?
No.
Where they, George has just gotten back from his jaunt into the alternate past. Mm-hmm. And they're doing the whole thing, and everybody's in the house. And then someone comes in and tells him that Mr. Potter stole the money, and it's his brother with the comes in and he's like, I remember what happened to the money. Mr. Potter, he took the money. And then George Bailey's like, well, let's go get him. And then the whole town goes down to Potter's office and just kicks the shit out of him.
Oh my God.
It's like, that's what this movie is.
Yes.
It's like It's a Wonderful Life if they got to kill Mr. Potter.
Yes. Oh, man. But, it's funny because, like, this movie is really violent, but it's like there's virtually no blood.
No human blood, anyway.
Well, no human blood. There is a lot of gremlin blood.
Yes.
There's a lot of gremlin goo all over the place.
Yes.
Especially the kid. I love the scene with the mom when she's
fantastic. When
she gets the phone call from Billy and he's like, they've hatched, they're in the house, get out of the house, and they pull the phone cord on her, and then what is it? It's that stupid Do You Hear What I Hear?
Yes. Johnny Mathis, yeah.
Starts playing. It's so good. It's like the perfect needle drop moment into that song, and her like, because she has no idea what she's about to face.
Right.
Like, we've seen with Billy what happened to the science teacher, and we kind of have a general idea, but she doesn't know. When she goes down and has to just destroy them all in the kitchen while screaming, get out of my kitchen.
I was taken aback at how quickly she escalated to violence.
Yes. Yeah. Like,
these things were cute, like yesterday.
And she doesn't know that they're violent or murderers.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Like, she doesn't know. Like, she comes in, and does she put one of them in the, like, food processor or whatever it is first?
I think so.
So it's like she draws first blood.
Yeah,
like,
her fault.
Yeah, and then they start throwing plates and shit at her, but they don't even really, like, do that much to her at first.
Yeah.
Like, they're throwing plates and stuff, and she stabs one, like, violently while screaming at it.
I'm sure there's some gremlin apologists out there being like, listen, they're a species and you're committing genocide or something.
Well, that is actually, to jump a little bit backwards then, an interesting question. Why do you think Gizmo's offspring turn evil?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Because they actively trick Billy into making them gremlins.
Yes.
They cut the wire on his alarm clock, and then they scream at him until he feeds them.
Yep.
And then when he goes to get them food, they all kind of like whisper together, like, yeah, he's gonna do it. We're gonna get it. It's gonna happen.
I think it's the internalization by the writer of how he feels about his family. These people are of me,
yes,
yet I cannot stand them, and they are awful.
This is how he feels about his own children.
Yes.
But it's really interesting, yeah, that Gizmo stays good.
Apparently, again, coming from IMDb, Gizmo and Stripe were supposed to be the same character. And Gizmo was
Interesting.
supposed to be equally as malicious, but Spielberg said split them up because have a good one and a bad one, because then the audience needs somebody to root for.
Yeah.
Again, you know, he is who he is for a reason. It's an easy thing to say, but it's the little bits like that make the magic. You know?
I'm guessing the studio was very happy that
Oh,
they
I'm
decided
sure.
to do
I'm
that.
sure as soon as he said that, they were like, "Oh, we can make toys now.
Yeah. Children will love it.
We'll
It will
just
one day become a Furby.
we'll just keep making Gremlins movies forever and ever, or maybe not for some reason. Who's
not.
to say why?" What do you think of the human characters?
They're fine.
Yeah,
That's really all I like. Billy is fine.
yeah,
You know, he's active enough that I'm not kind of annoyed by another milquetoast white guy main character. You know, like he's
Yep.
trying to do stuff. He seems like a good son. You know, he's nice to his parents. He's nice to Corey Feldman. His relationship with Kate is really cute.
yep.
Like he clearly has a little, crush on her. And when she says she'll go on a date with him, he's like, "Wait, really?" And it's like, oh, that's endearing. That's sweet. But he's not really like particularly remarkable in any way.
Yeah, I found myself wondering because Billy clearly is not like the hero. Well, he is the hero, but he's not the draw of this movie,
Right.
and he's a Zach Galligan, perfectly fine.
Oh,
actor.
yeah. Yeah, no. I don't think the acting is bad. I just think it's kind of a weird, it's another one of those weird characters where it's like,
But I was kind of thinking, like, what is this movie like if Billy is played by like Michael J. Fox, someone who's just got like undeniable charisma, who can take a
Yeah.
part like this and make it, give it some zip.
yeah,
But I don't know if you need it. You probably don't.
yeah.
Because the rest of the movie is so nuts that it's probably nice to have someone who's just sort of like straight down the middle.
I was going to say, I think in this movie, having the sort of middle of the road main character actually works because, like, your father is such a character, your girlfriend's kind of fucked up,
Yeah.
and then you're just surrounded by insane creatures that run around like they're on cocaine.
Yes.
So, like, having somebody who's a little more just, like, normal feels necessary.
Saugus Christmas. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. The parking lot of the Kowloon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see there was a fight? Someone got stabbed there a couple weeks ago.
These are two separate stories.
I think they were actually.
Yes. Yeah, because the guy
Anyway.
who got stabbed himself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like to prove a point?
I don't know, but he died.
Oh, no. Point made.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Kate, for that uplifting story.
Yeah, and then he died.
Yeah, great use of Judge Reinhold. He
The casting for the more character-y characters in this
Yes.
is impeccable.
that's the thing. Is
Yes.
Billy's fine.
Yes.
Kate is also fine, but she's
Yeah.
got a little bit of something.
I like her weirdness.
Yeah, but everybody else is just A+.
Oh, man.
Dick Miller as Fetterman.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yep.
And Judge Reinhold,
Mrs. Deagle.
Mrs. Deagle.
Holy shit. That woman was amazing in that role.
The dad,
Yes.
Billy's dad is great.
Yes.
His mom is great.
Yep.
Corey Feldman's great.
Yep. Corey Feldman and his little Christmas tree getup
Yes.
is really funny to me.
You know, I wonder. I feel like there's another version of this where he's the main character. Like, because
Yeah.
it almost feels like
This was supposed to be a movie with a
a
kid,
younger lead.
a kid protagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what I feel too, where he's like living at home.
Yeah,
His dad's buying him a pet.
right.
You know, it feels more like this is a 13-year-old rather than a 22-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Judge Reinhold, who plays, he's
Gerald.
Gerald, is that his name?
Yes.
He's only in a couple scenes, and he's really only there to sort of be the aspirational foil to Billy.
Yes.
Where he's like the young VP at the bank.
Yeah, he's a junior VP.
He's got cable, which is one of the
We're talking cable.
all-time shithead pickup lines.
Yes.
But it's just he's not over the top. Like, it's not like
Yeah.
they got
He's slimy, but he's not over the top.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not like, and I love this actor, but it's not like they got Biff from Back to the Future to do
Yes,
this.
yes.
Like, Judge Reinhold he can be both sleazy and kind of pathetic at the same time.
Yeah, and I think you see that in this where, like, he comes into the bar where Billy is like sitting quietly having a beer and like working on some of his art. And he goes up to Billy and starts sort of like needling him.
Right.
And Billy just says, well, thanks. Merry Christmas. If you'll excuse me. And he gets up and he moves. And Gerald follows him.
Jay Reinhold.
And wants to sit down with him and
Yeah.
keep talking. And like the scene ends before the night ends. Like the scene in the bar ends with the two of them still at a table together.
Right. Yeah.
So it's sort of like this weird, like, he's trying to rub it in with Billy, but it's almost like he kind of wants Billy to think he's cool.
Yeah.
And so he's going to keep...
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's sort of like... But yeah, so he's not just being a bully. It's sort of like, no, I want you to admire me.
Yeah, like...
There's like a desperation underneath it.
It almost feels like they might be like work friends. Like,
Or
not
maybe
that they
they
hang
were
out.
before Gerald got promoted up, or maybe they kind of ran into each other in similar groups in high school. Like, it doesn't feel... There's like a mean big brother attitude towards
Yes,
it.
that's a good way to put it.
But
Yeah.
not like a bully
Right.
attitude. Yeah, he's not like, I'm gonna get you fired.
I also have to imagine they are letting the casting do a little bit of work here because they're casting Judge Reinhold opposite Phoebe Cates,
Yeah.
and they famously had that scene together in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So I'm sure people are watching. I mean, I was watching this going like, "Ugh, she's not going for this guy. This guy's gross."
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the people are gonna. I want to talk a little bit about the convention that his dad goes to.
Yes, so great.
Again,
so weird.
Again, who was watching them make this movie?
But again, it's another thing where it feels like this happens in a slightly alternate dimension, because what is this conference?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
It's
I
like
guess
an
it's
inventors conference, but there's like actual robots walking around talking on the phone.
They've got the three things about it that I love. It's got the robot from Forbidden Planet, which makes a cameo walking in front of camera. In the background is the time machine from the movie H.G. Wells' The Time Machine.
Yes.
Which they not only have in the background, they do a bit with where they cut back to it and it's gone.
Yeah.
And everyone's reacting like it just disappeared, like it's gone back in time. But the best part that I never noticed until this time is when his dad's on the phone in this phone booth, there's a guy behind him with this like weird hat with like a metal thing coming out of it who's also on the phone.
Yeah.
The next time his dad's on the phone, the robot from Forbidden Planet is there with the hat on.
Yes, carrying on the conversation.
Yes, it's very great. Like that had to have been a blast to shoot.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I think this is a movie that loves other movies. Like there's a lot of
definitely.
homages and little tributes and like what are people watching on TV when different things are happening. That's really fun to sort of find all those little Easter eggs.
Yeah. I don't find excuse me. I find that stuff a lot less cutesy in these older movies than I do like now. And I'm not sure why, because I feel like it's just as cutesy then as it is now, but I feel like now everybody does it. And so like if you see an homage or a reference to something else now, you kind of like roll your eyes a bit.
Yeah.
Instead of just kind of like, maybe it's because like the idea of the South Park member berries thing is so prevalent that whereas in a movie like this, they're pulling this stuff out just because Joe Dante loves this shit.
Right.
Versus the way a lot of people view that stuff now, which is they're actively trying to manipulate you into going like, oh.
Yes. Yeah. Or you're sitting there and you're supposed to be keeping score.
Right.
Like you're supposed to be keeping track of all, like I found all the Easter eggs and I caught all the references.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't need to catch those references to enjoy this movie.
Right.
I think that's a little bit of the difference.
Like in Halloween 3. There's a moment where someone is watching Halloween on TV. That feels less overt, even though it's incredibly overt, than in like the new Halloween movies when kids run by wearing the masks from Halloween 3. You know what I mean? It's I don't know what it is. I think maybe part. No, I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know.
Anyway, chewing that. World. is there anything else? The no bright lights rule
Yeah.
was born out of the fact that they wanted to hide the special effects.
Oh.
So they kept the lights down low, so
That
they
makes a
built
lot
it
of
into the
sense.
story.
That makes a lot of sense.
Chris Columbus's script went through a few drafts before a shooting script was finalized. His original version had the Gremlins killing the dog and
no.
cutting off the mom's head and tossing it down the stairs.
Holy shit.
These elements were never shot due to the fact that director Joe Dante and Warner Brothers wanted the movie to be more family-oriented.
Jesus.
That's coming from IMDb. No idea if that's true, but
I'm very glad
as
don't
they say,
do that.
big if true.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that's we're. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I mean, the music in this movie is really fun.
Yes.
Like
the music is excellent.
The Mogwai song is really cute and sweet, and the Gremlins theme is really fun and like chaotic, and I think it really adds to it.
Yeah, I think, and one of the things that I feel like is missing from movies now is these guys who are, kind of up and coming, lower budget, let's say genre guys. A lot of them had access to arguably the greatest composers in film history. Like Brian De Palma and Martin Scorsese were working with is it Elmer Bernstein or Bernard Herrmann, Hitchcock's guy, who did the soundtrack to Taxi Driver.
Oh.
I know De Palma and Joe Dante were working with Pino Donaggio, who, and here he's using, they're using Jerry Goldsmith, who is, holy shit. Sorry, my dog just came running in from his walk like he just escaped a pack of gremlins.
Like he is a pack of Gremlins.
Yes.
He's got the ears for it.
But this movie's scored by Jerry Goldsmith, who's one of the greatest of all time. And it really just kicks these things up a notch in a way that I feel like a lot of movies don't get anymore.
Yeah.
Like I think there are a lot fewer of these composers who are just, hitting dingers all the time. Because music now in movies is so kind of like weird and not as traditional.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
No, that's true. Yeah.
And so you don't have these sort of like, these guys don't, because these composers really lift a lot of this stuff. Like Goldsmith did Alien, Star Trek 1. He wrote the TNG theme.
Oh wow.
Did he do Predator? I don't think he did Predator. Maybe he did.
I have no idea.
Anyway,
no idea.
he's done tons and tons of stuff. And when you've got a composer like this working on your movie, it instantly brings it up a couple notches.
Yeah, it's it really does, and it's just like so much fun to have those sort of like the song they like I'm thinking about when the Gremlins get into the tractor for real, not just when Futterman's saying there are gremlins in my tractor, when there actually are, and they come crashing into the house. And it's like that's I think one of the first times the Gremlin theme kicks in.
Great theme.
And it's so much like more insane when that happens, and just like so much more memorable of a scene.
Yeah.
To have it set to that music.
Yeah, Mondo put the soundtrack out on vinyl a handful of years ago, which I picked up.
Yeah.
The record sleeves for the two albums, one of them, if you get it wet, hidden words show up.
Oh, cool.
And the other one, if you put it out in the sunlight, hidden words show up.
I like that. That's cute.
Yeah, it's a great soundtrack. It's clearly, I'm sure Spielberg was the one who's like, guys, get a good composer.
Yeah.
Really helps you out.
Yeah.
No, you can't use John Williams. Of course, Gremlins is the one thing I have remembered is that past few times that I've watched Gremlins, I immediately have to put on Gremlins 2. I actually was more familiar with Gremlins 2 as a kid than I was the first, because Gremlins 2 was one of those movies that my cousin had on VHS, who I spent a lot of time with. So we watched Gremlins 2 all the time, and it wasn't until much later that I saw the first one.
I only saw Gremlins 2 within the last year and a half.
Yeah, it's fucking great.
It's insane.
It's one of those movies where I think a lot of people are like, Gremlins 2, that movie's terrible. It's like, no.
It's just crazy. You just have to commit.
It's
You
a
have to-
perfect sequel.
Yeah.
This, Godfather 2, and Addams Family Values.
Yeah.
Perfect sequels.
Yeah.
But after that, it's been 30 years.
You gonna burst into the Nick Let's Go song of
Tell me,
Gremlins 3?
where did the Gremlins go? It's been so long with nothing to show. We could have had Gremlins versus Home Alone, or at least a cameo in Attack of the Clones.
Wow.
We could have had a Gremlin in Jurassic Park.
Do you have this whole thing memorized?
Or a Jaws-type Gremlin. Jaws-type movie with a Gremlin shark.
so
30 years later, and we're on our own, crying in our sleep, wondering where did the Gremlins go.
Wow.
Thank you, Nick. Go listen to where...
You know you have to pay him royalties now.
I didn't sing it. Go listen to Nick Let's Go's song about Gremlins and be introduced to his concept for Gremlins 3, The Dawn of Desmond, where Gizmo turns into a gremlin and gets married to Jennifer Aniston. Anyway, is that going to do it for Gremlins?
I think so. For me, at least.
Yeah, I think so. I just to kind of...
You also sound like we're losing you.
Yeah, I'm getting close to the end here. Hopefully just vocally and not,
R.I.P.
life.
Clay.
Just to kind of circle back to the Christmas movie aspect of it, I did realize watching this and Black Christmas, those put me in the Christmas vibe more than most regular Christmas movies do.
Yes, totally agree. Like when I walk into a store and I hear Christmas songs now, I'm just a little bit like, oh God, already? This is going to be going on for like another 3 weeks or however long. And yet, when I watch either this or Black Christmas, it's like, oh, okay, now it's Christmas.
Your favorite Christmas carol is the one where a heavy breather calls you a cunt.
Yeah. I mean, more or less, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about those two movies, but it's just like I am more nostalgic for Christmas watching Gremlins than I am watching I don't know, one of the other ones.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's very good, but
Yeah.
again, I agree. It just it doesn't quite kick it off the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's gonna do it for Gremlins and my voice. I hit the randomizer button, beep boop boop beep beep boop beep boop, and when we come back in January,
In 2024.
I didn't write it down. We are going to be doing number 6 on our list,
Oh.
which is Jordan Peele's Get Out.
Yeah.
Which
Starting
should be cool.
the year off right.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I think I only saw it once in the theater, so I'll be looking
Yeah.
forward to watching that again.
I think I saw it. I mean, it was years ago at this point. It was
Yeah.
at home, but it was years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also in January, we'll be kicking off our new Patreon series
Yay.
where we'll be going through the Halloween franchise. Well,
I
12
may-
of the 13 Halloween movies,
I may or may not be wearing a Haddonfield sweatshirt right now.
comma, always.
Comma always. Yes.
We're going to be doing all the Halloween films except for Halloween 2018, which we did on the main feed of our show, I think when it came out, 2018.
Yeah, probably.
So that'll be fun.
We couldn't have. We weren't doing this in 2018.
Were we not?
Nope. Anyway.
Time is a
Again.
mystery to man.
Yes.
But yeah, and if you want to follow along with that, or if you want to catch the end of our Video Nasties series, which we're wrapping up this month with Lucio Fulci's Zombie, or if you want to catch up on our Friday the 13th series, which we did 2 years ago, or the second string of Stephen King, which we did last year, head over to patreon.com/The Penske File, where you can get access to all of those shows. We do this too much, but we do it for you. We
And
appreciate it.
Your Patreon donations will go to the fund to buy Clay a new voice.
Well, I'm just waiting until it gets to the point where I can just start wearing a mask all the time and become a creep. I was going to say serial killer, but that was too dark.
I thought you were going Batman.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Where are the detonators? Yeah, not quite there yet. But thank you guys for listening. I hope my voice wasn't too. I hope it was listenable, and hopefully in January I'll be back to normal. But thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, Clay.
We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
So tell me, where did the Gremlins go? It's been so long, nothing to show. We could have had Gremlins versus Home Alone, or at least a cameo and Attack of the Clones. Jaws like a movie with a gremlin shark. 30 years later, we're all stuck at home, crying in our sleep under